Hello, young man. What brings you to this neck of the woods?
Actually, I was wondering if I could interview you for my newspaper.
Me? About what?
Well, we are doing a series, an article on the homeless, and
And you want to know what happened to me, what I live on, and what it's like to live from hand to mouth?
oh yeah, I do want to know. Would you be willing to tell me your story?
You go to about 3 hours.
Whatever we need.
Well then, go ahead and sit down.
Thanks. Let's see. Well, first, I'd like to ask you.
No questions, just listen. You think I grow up poor, don't you? That I don't have any educations? But you are dead wrong. I have a college degree. I worked for a big company. My parents would turn over in their grades if they could see me now.
How?
I said, no questions. Just sit still and listen. In beginning, I got up at 5 a.m. every day and was at work by 7, and I stayed at the office till 8 in the evening. 13 hours, that was the only way I could keep up with all the work. It just never let up. I never saw my family very much because when I got home, I usually went straight to bed. But I guess I was doing pretty good job because I keep moving up later. I became manager and get more money. But I had to work even more hours and weekends too. You can imagine that my wife never stopped complaining. She told me that I was getting burned out and had no time for a life.
Must be have been really hard to hear.
Yeah, my marriage was at stake. So I went to my boss and asked him for a vacation. He told me to wait 3 more months. He needed me there, so nothing changed. Day in a day out, I worked and worked. Eventually, my wife left, and guess what? The company closed down a year later. The economy was bad that I couldn't find another job. Over time, I lost everything. Hey, how many hours do you work? Too many, I'm sure. I just hope you know what you are doing.
Things could change for you, you know? You can start over after all you're educated.
That's, that's wishful thinking, young man. Thank you for listening to the part of the conversation, and I will move on to the important part, which is answering the questions about the assignment presented on the site. What happened to him? Through the conversation, he mentioned that he lost his job after the company closed for economic reasons, and that his marriage was spoiled, meaning that he lost everything, even though he had degrees that qualify him to participate in and obtain alternative jobs, which he was unable to do. What could the man have done differently to avoid such a fate? The best solution in order to avoid losing any job is to choose a place and working conditions that are more appropriate to the nature of the person, such as working hours, type of contract, and the company conditions, and anticipate what will happen by preparing for alternative work. What pieces of advice would you give him? The best advice that can be given to him is to obtain a formal education in any field, because he has a base and a pivot that can be relied upon in order to make differences in scientific life and professional formation, or to benefit from the experience he gained in his field in order to apply or to compete in companies that supplies in providing services in the same field. Although it does not require a new settlement, it is an alternative solution in order to save some works and begin the ruins of some losses that cannot be compensated through work, such as emotional relationships, especially marriage, which must be respected given that is a factor and influence in the practical life of any social axis. The second solution is to hasten to enter into an emotional relationship or to share for a second marriage that gives an emotional spring. Through the conversations that took place, we learned the reasons for the loss of the persons and the motives for which the interview took place. And we concluded the importance of organizing work time, how to avoid losing the source of funds.